that come into the lobby too that see pictures of Alabama, they wonder exactly how the theater got started. Alabama, supergroup Alabama, country supergroup, got their start at the Bowery down in Myrtle Beach. Now this is back in the mid-70s and late 70s, and that's where they played for tips. And if you've heard them sing some of their songs like Shaggin' on the Boulevard, you probably heard that in some of those lyrics, and that's a true story. So these guys are all over the place, gold and platinum records, and they're represented pretty well here in our lobby. So folks want to know now, if they ever come back and perform at the lobby? Well, these guys are kind of semi-retired, and yes, they did come back. When they came back on the road about 5 years ago, they started their tour right here on their namesake stage, which is pretty cool. And we still stay in touch with them. We see them throughout the year. Every once in a while, they'll drop in on a show unbeknownst to anybody, and we get to introduce them in the crowd, which is really a neat thing too. But Dale Morris, who was Alabama's theater's manager, got with a group of investors and said, hey, let's start a theater. They didn't know what to name it, and they thought, you know what a great tribute to guys that put Myrtle Beach on the map. Hence the name, the Alabama Theater. Now, a lot of other misconceptions too, when people think, well, the Alabama Theater is going to be nothing but country music when you come and see a show here. Not the case. Yes, we cover country. That's just the stuff that I love, but I've got so many friends that cover other genres of music, everything from Broadway to big band to rock and roll to the gospel. Just about every genre is covered when you come to see on the show. So another misconception. Now, this lobby is probably the first thing that I stepped when I came here and visited in 1999. During Thanksgiving, looking for a place to live. I walked into the lobby and I couldn't believe it. I just thought, man, it's kind of got this vibe of this old Southern mansion, you know. All of a sudden I start to talk like Governor McMaster again. This is not a news conference or anything like that, but it's exactly what I felt like. I thought I was in this Southern mansion, and I immediately felt warm and welcome. They do a great job of doing that in such a large place. Of course, we've got all the regular theater snacks and those kind of carry-ons. We've even got some. Well, they were offering some beer and wine here the last couple of seasons, and so I think we're going to come on down now. Adam's saying go this way, so I know where you're going. I promise you, I know where I'm going. They turned on turn on work lights in the theater, right? Adam, you want me to go through this? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're going to go through door number 3. This is not Let's Make a Deal. But what are we going to find behind door number 3? Oh my gosh! So here we come into the auditorium. And this is something that never gets old to me too, when I walk into the house and just look at what this looks like from this vantage point sitting back in the audience. So, how many seats are in the theater? Here's a little fun fact for you. 1993. The theater opened in 1993. Is it a coincidence? I would submit that it's not. Adam's kind of panning up there into the balcony, and we've got Wilkes booth balconies on both sides of the theater. We have a drop curtain, or a curtain that opens stage left, stage right. Other than a drop curtain, something that you would see at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, Tennessee. And the theater, actually, there's another fact for you too. When they started pouring the concrete of the theater, they didn't have the grade right. They were trying to get a great vantage point for everybody, so everybody would have a great seat, vantage point to the stage. And the grade was not right, so they had to rip up the concrete and re-pour to make sure that when those seats got in and installed, that everybody sitting, no matter where they happened to be in the house, would have a great vantage point when they saw a performance, no matter what it happened to be of the stage here. We've got in our house PA system, you see our house left, our center cluster, and our right cluster. And if you look high above that, there's a rigging system and a track system. People always want to know what's going on. There are so many different elements that make up this show to make it as great and majestic as it is. Now, this chandelier that you're seeing right there, I'll give this away. This is one of the props for Beauty and the Beast. So when our featured entertainers come out to highlight that particular Broadway production, this huge chandelier drops down right above the theater, and then as they exit the stage, then they hoist it back on the ceiling. Also, another fun fact, back in the day when Mary Poppins was in the show, this is how Mary Poppins would land and come across the audience and then down on the stage. During the Christmas show, Santa makes a little magic with that same system in his hot rod sled. And I think we've got video somewhere on the website showcasing Santa and what he does in the show as well. My dad used to come in the theater, and after a show, he would say, "Come and sit with me." So we would come and sit right up here in G. This is the G section. He'd say, "Come sit down with me." I said, "What, Dad?" He would sit in this great big theater by himself, and he wanted me to sit with him. And he said, "Look at this." He said, "I never thought you'd be doing this on a nightly basis. I never thought you would take it this seriously." And he said, "I want to remind you what a great thing this is." He was such a proud guy. He loved to entertain too, and that's how I got my start with my mom and dad on stage. But every time I come up here to G and see these seats, it's one of those feelings for me. So I'm going to walk you down on the stage. The theater, the great thing about, I guess, times like this with all these businesses, everything that happens to be suspended right now, is they're thoroughly and meticulously going through every single seat, every chair, every space that you can think of and think about this place. It's ginormous, right? They're going through and scouring, disinfecting to make sure that when we do reopen, that it's even a deeper cleaning than it ever received before. And they will continue doing that on a daily basis even when we do resume shows. Now on the front of the stage, you'll see monitors. This is to ensure that even the folks that are sitting down front get optimum sound at all times during the show. There are a couple of these monitors that are turned back towards the entertainers that are on stage, and that is to kind of give us a little bit of what we call a house wash of sound, so we can hear a little bit. But this year is actually the first year that all the singers on the stage are wearing, along with the band, we're wearing in-ear monitors. So what does that mean to you? Well, it makes the sound guy's job a whole lot easier because he can control all the sound that's coming off the deck. When I say off the deck, I mean off the stage. And each entertainer has a custom mix of everything that they're here, of everything they're singing, everything the rest part of the show. If they want more drums in something, or less saxophone, or more guitar, or whatever that happens to be, they can have a custom mix of every song that's inside the production. So it makes the sound guy's job a whole lot easier, and it makes what you hear out in the house even that much more pristine. It's just an awesome sound that comes right off those clusters that I talked about just a moment ago. On the stage, you're going to find a lot of folks never get to see this vantage point, which I love. When I give these tours, I love seeing this because you see numbers and letters across the stage. So what are those? Well, those are all points of blocking for every entertainer that's on a stage. When you look at these larger production numbers, most of the time you're seeing a picture, right? And so we want to make sure that the picture is balanced of both stage left and stage right. So when our choreographer, Gene Whitaker, who's also our co-director, starts mapping these pictures out in Nashville, these production numbers, then she's looking at the same thing. You know, she's looking at, what is this going to look like out to the audience, which always amazes me that they can see this in their head, map it out on paper, and then they put it right on the stage. So if they ask us to, at any point, to be at any place on the stage, we know, designated by numbers and letters, whether we're stage left or stage right, or downstage or upstage. Downstage meaning closer to the seats, upstage meaning closer to the back wall. And you'll notice a couple of tracks that are carved out on the stage as well. We had at certain points during both productions, one the show and the South's grandest Christmas show all year long, you'll see moving pieces on the stage. Well, two of those happen to be our huge piano that's over there that you're seeing, stage left, and the drums that are behind this particular pod here. And those move down on tracks, on motors, so they become a little bit closer to the audience in a different part of the show, different aspect of the show. And speaking of the drums, this is the 4th season that we have had an electronic kit playing. Now this all is incorporated to the sound as well. This set of drums it's pretty, the technology that comes along with all this is incredible. If they were all hooked up, if I hit any of these drums back here, again, this is all you hear, right? Out front, it sounds like an acoustic set of drums. The technology has come so far with that. It's just absolutely amazing. And again, that protects our ears as entertainers on stage, so we're not hearing the constant beating and the banging of the drums all night long, which kind of saves us a little bit. Okay, so I'm being prodded and prompted by Adam to kind of take you backstage, so we're going to do that. And I want to turn some lights on here. Technology, I turn lights on with my phone with an app. It's crazy how that works. So I'm going to keep following me here, Adam, and I'll do that here as quickly as I can. I tell you what, let's go down the hallway here first. So we go down the back hallway. So we just left the stage. Now, during a regular night, before the show, people are scurrying back and forth, getting presets involved. Well, what exactly is a preset? Well, everybody's got a track. They know their track during the show. They know that they've got certain costumes and the times to change those costumes. So then they start presetting those costumes in strategic places to ensure that they've got enough time to make that costume change for the next particular number that they happen to be in. So a lot of those times, to find those places, you'll have costumes laid out in the hallway in different alcoves of the theater. And those are done for different traffic patterns, so everybody happens to know where they are. Now, Adam is taking us into the guys' dressing room. And at any given night, you're going to see the singers, the male singers, the male dancers back in here. And so everybody's costumes happen to be in here now. But before they get ready for the show, they take those costumes out, and then they, again, do those presets where they happen to be needed to make sure that they make those costumes changes. All right, we're going to go back. Are we going to go in the girls' room? Are we allowed to do that while we're out here?
Your biggest fan.
Oh, my biggest fan. I'm sorry. No, this is not my biggest fan. My biggest fan is out front. That's a great big fan about this size. So, I do have smaller fans in the house. Okay, we're going to come down this way. And are we allowed to go in the girls' room? Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh, what? The girls don't know about this, do they? They don't know that we're going to show off the girls' dressing room. Oh, and the lights are already on. Now, let me make sure I knock, just in case anybody happened to be here. The theater's empty except for me and Adam, and I think Joe's up there doing some disinfecting. But okay, so we're going to walk into the... What is it? It's a lot shinier in here. There's more glitter in the girls' dressing room. Isn't that amazing? And I will say, no surprise that it's a lot neater, too, right?
You're bad.
And it smells better. How did the girls get a microwave is what I want to know. I haven't seen this in a while. And all the girls decorate. The guys don't pay too much attention to that. So this is where all of our girl singers, our girl dancers, all the ladies gather before a show. You know, one of the things that I like most about the show, too, if you're walking down the hallway as one of the entertainers in the show, in the theater, most of the time you're hearing chatter come out of both rooms, right? And a lot of laughter. We spend so much time together in these small places, we become family very, very quickly. I will say the live theater industry is different when it comes to that, because we are in such tight quarters that we become very close rapidly. And a lot of us have gotten to make family members over the course of our careers that are still now family members, right, Adam?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Adam's not talking a lot today because he's being such an awesome photog. If you like Jason Cox, there's an early Jason Cox right there and an early Greg Rowles. I don't know why they've got magnets of me and posters of Jason in the girls' dressing room, but I see that our checks are still clearing. These are a couple of my trophies from past dancing competitions that happen to be left over. I have no idea. If you know me, then you know there's not any dancing competitions that are going on. Okay, so what happens down here in the hallway? The first room that you come into really is one of the epicenters of the theater, and I'm not making that up. All of our costumers are here. Our costume mistresses and our costume manager hang out in this room, and this is what I call our ER. If something goes wrong during the show with one of the costumes, it's immediately brought back here and mended. And when I say mended, these guys are lickety split when it comes to doing those type of alterations. And it's crazy if something blows out on the stage, it comes back here and immediately it's addressed. And again, I have such a great admiration for,
pun intended.
For Susie and for Mimi and for Nikki, for all the folks that do what they do back here, because they certainly keep us looking good and making sure that when the audience sees us that we got our britches on, all right? And that's always important. Okay, so come on back down the hallway and I'll take you down to a couple of different dressing rooms. Are we allowed to go in my dressing room? Are we allowed to do that? So I'm going to take you to my dressing room.
Is there a charge?
There's no charge. There's no cover charge today. Folks ask all the time, so what is it like? How far are you traveling to the dressing room? Well, the stage, in fact, if Adam can walk right through this door, he'll show you the stage again. He can show you the house. All right? People go, how do you change clothes so quickly? Well, the stage is there. If Adam turns back around to his left, he'll show you how quickly you can all of a sudden end up in the backstage area. And my dressing room is right through this door. What in the heck is going on? Or should I say, the barbershop, right? I love this room. I spend as much time in here as I do my living room. So I try to make it as comfortable as possible. I'll come on a couple more lights here, Adam, so we can get a good look at what's going on. And let me I'll turn the fireplace on, and we'll turn the TV on. We'll give people an idea what's going on, right? So, yeah, I spend as much time in here as I do my living room, so I want to make it as well as comfortable as possible. And so I think I've done a good job of that. Me and George Hyde, our bass player. George he's been my roomie for the last several years. And they've called this room for many years the Barbershop. Why? Because most of the guys come in here before the show, hang out, tell lies. Because that's what you do in a barbershop. Ladies, if you didn't know that before, I'm letting you in on it now. That's what they do. So we swap tales and old stories. Years gone by, and we sit and tell jokes. Actually, now we watch Hee Haw, no kidding, before the show. So that's what we do. We sit in here and just hang out and share. So now you've got a good peek at my dressing room. I'll take you down here. Well, now to show them Grant's dressing room.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we gotta go see Ricky Mokel's dressing room. Ricky's was just redone. Grant's wife Kay surprised him with a makeover, and it's awesome. Let me turn another light on. Oh yeah. So Kay just redid this first of the year to surprise Grant, Ricky Mokel. And so this is his dressing room. He's got room for his doctor when he lays down and starts spilling out all of his issues and things like that, because Ricky does have a lot of those. So he hangs out here. Our lead guitar player, Kenny Duncan, he stays in here. Bobby Gabriel, our band leader, they all congregate in here when they're not on the stage. Oh, you want to see a band room? Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. It's my first day on the job. So this is the horn room, and so both of our saxophone players, trumpet player, they're in here. All these dressing rooms, by the way, that I'm showing you, back in the day when the theater was first built, these were the members of Alabama. These were their private dressing rooms, and they stayed locked. In fact, we couldn't even come in them at the time. Yeah, this used to be Teddy's room. My dressing room, that was Randy's dressing room, but they stayed locked. So after those guys stopped touring, they didn't have a need for them anymore, so they actually opened them up and let us kind of spread out a little bit. It makes it a whole lot easier. Now can I take them to the green room? I can do that. Adam's giving me authority to do that. This is our green room. This is where we congregate right before the show. All of our special meetings are called here. We have prayer circle in here every single night before a show, before a performance. And it's not the most glamorous green room, but I will tell you, I've been in thousands of green rooms, and I will say that not many of them are very glamorous. But this is also a makeshift rehearsal hall during rehearsal period. In fact, if they have to do a reblock, what does a reblock mean? When somebody's sick or ill during the night, or they're missing for some reason, they have to reblock the show. And when they reblock the show, they have to that picture that I was talking about earlier, they have to reposition it again so it makes balance on the stage. And they do that in here. All right, yeah, I've got a phone call. I'm just ignoring the call. You guys are more important than the phone call right now. All right?
That's good.
I'm a little afraid of heights. If you didn't know that before, then you know that now. So we're going to go up into one of our lighting directors, what we call Pookie's World. Todd Copeland, Pookie, aka that I've known for 30 years because we worked together at Opryland in Nashville, Tennessee. We're going to go up in his world and see kind of a different vantage point of the stage. All right, so we're going to take you upstairs. If you want something Hallified at the theater, then you have to see Eddie Hawley. Eddie Hawley is our stage manager, and I mean anything that's being built, constructed, it's Eddie. Anything that needs fixing, Eddie can do it. Anything that needs to be fabricated, Eddie can do it. And no kidding, we come in here when nobody's in the theater. Who's here? Eddie. And Eddie's working on something. It's always some sort of project with Eddie Hawley. Eddie, say hi to our audience. Just say, hi, Eddie. That's enough. Eddie, fun fact with Eddie. Eddie used to be Ronnie Millsap's stage manager down at Fantasy Harbor years ago. And Eddie is quite the artisan himself. He is an incredible asset here at the theater, and the carpenter, and he wears so many different hats, but we love him. All right, so we're going to take you upstairs. And there's a lot of stuff in here that I have no idea what it is, so I'm not going to start to talk about it. Now, Adam says, quit looking at the camera over here, because I keep thinking, but he's got this fancy thingamajig on the side over here that's doing the filming over here, so I got to start looking over here and not over here. It's very confusing. How can you afford that thing? All right, so here, I want to show everybody this. This is one of the Wilkes booth. So this is the vantage point up here, which is really cool, which I love. There have been nights I've snuck up here to see Santa enter, right, for the South's grandest Christmas show, and watch Santa fly across the crowd, and to see faces young and old light up as Santa makes his entrance and is landing onto the stage. It's one of the coolest things. Thank you so much for coming along on the tour today. I hope that you learned something new. I hope maybe this made you anxious to come out to a show when we resume. Again, that's March 31st. Again, check out the website. That's alabama-theater.com, and click on that COVID-19 banner across the top. It'll continue to give those daily updates. If anything happens to change, you'll be the first to know. And we, on behalf of everybody here at the Alabama Theater, and I'm talking about all the way from the front to ticketing, all the way to the back, to all of us that entertain you, to next door, to the administration staff, we thank you so much for patroning all these years and understanding for the closure. And we wish you all the best out there, health and safety, which is most important during all of this. Remember, we're all in it together, and we'll see you on the other side of this COVID thing.